Welcome back to the FFS podcast, Finance's Sake, the show where finance meets real life with a touch of sass and a lot of smarts. I'm your host, Rachael Harrison, MD of one of Warwickshire's top accountancy firms. And today we're diving headfirst into one of those topics. Sounds dry, but affects nearly everyone. Statutory pay. Yes, it's the alphabet soup of SSP, SMP, SPP, SHPP, SAP, and it's more important than most people realise. I'm sat here today with my fellow director, Christopher Harrison, and payroll expert.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, Chris. So let's cut through the HMRC jargon and get into what really matters. If you're an employer, you need to know what you're legally obliged to pay. And if you're an employee, you need to know what you're entitled to. So let's not leave money on the table. So Chris, take us through what is statutory pay anyways?
Statutory pay is the minimum that you are legally entitled to while you're off work. So that is whether you're off sick, pregnant, adopting, or just taking time off with a new baby. The scheme is there for that. It's not as straightforward as it sounds. It takes in many different elements. There's earnings threshold, length of service, payroll periods, etc. It can be a complete headache for the business owner.
Thank you, Chris. So let's take our listeners through the big 5 statutory pays. So I'll take the first one, which is the big one, SSP, statutory sick pay. It's £116.75 per week for up to a maximum period of 28 weeks. It's paid after the 4th day of illness, and those days do include the weekend. So if your employee works standard Monday to Friday and they go sick on the Friday, they're actually eligible for the SSP from the Tuesday, despite the fact that they wouldn't work the Saturday and Sunday. So you need to make sure you go through all of this eligibility when someone is claiming SSP. So employees must have been off sick for at least those 4 days, earn at least £123 a week before tax, and be classed as an employee rather than a contractor or casual worker. And don't forget, evidence is key. So the employee can self-certify for the first 7 days, but after that, you are legally entitled to ask them to get you a fit note from their doctor. So trust your employees, but verify because your business depends on it. Right, Chris, do you want to take us through all the parental leaves?
Yes. So I'll start with SMP, which is statutory maternity pay. This is 90% of the average weekly earnings for 6 weeks, and then 172.48 for the next 33, which isn't a lot when you're thinking of all the nappies you've got to buy. SPP is statutory paternity pay, and that's up for 2 weeks at 172.48 per week. Now, obviously that's a significant drop from what you normally would be earning, so I'd recommend saving in advance of those 2 weeks.
And actually the UK has some of the lowest paid periods for maternity and paternity, especially compared to Europe.
Exactly. And then the third one would be SHPP, which is shared parental pay. Now this is exactly what it sounds like, so we can share the SMP between you. So you share the leave, share the pay, but good luck figuring out the paperwork for that one. And then finally is SAP, which is statutory adoption pay. This just mirrors the SMP because obviously parenting is parenting regardless of the source.
Thank you for that, Chris. Now, I know some of you are thinking as employers, can I just pay this a pay and just forget about it? Well, not so fast, because if you get this wrong, HMRC will come a-knocking and they'll be asking for the evidence. So, Chris, can you take us through some of the most common pitfalls that you've seen clients make?
The most common pitfalls you see is the misclassifying of employees, missing eligibility checks, not keeping proper records, can't stress that one enough, that's really important, and forgetting to reclaim where you was eligible to.
That's a really good point. So reclaiming that small employer's relief is absolutely essential for businesses. So I'm going to take you through what you can reclaim. So for all your parental type leaves, your maternity, paternity, shared, parenting, adoption leave, all of those, most small employers can claim 103%. Yes, so that's an extra 3% to cover the NI costs. Larger employers can reclaim only 92%, so they're actually expected to pay towards the leave of those employees. But with statutory sick pay, there's a lot of confusion over that, and the waters have been very much muddied over the years because it used to be paid for by the government, then it wasn't, then during COVID it was paid for by the government again, and now it's back to it being a straight up business cost. So thank you very much HMRC and our government for landing employers with that. But let's talk about the curveball that catches many employers out, and that's annual leave. Most of employers just don't realise that this continues to accrue during statutory leave periods. So if you think that employee's holiday clock stops ticking when they go off sick or on maternity, think again, that's not the case. If someone goes on maternity and they go off for a whole year, you're going to owe them, as a full-time employee, a minimum of 28 days annual leave. That's quite a lot. It's like 5.6 weeks pay. And even if they leave your employment at the end of that, you still have to pay it. So plan accordingly and don't let the accrued days ambush your payroll later. As someone that works with SMEs every day, I see the chaos that this causes when it's done wrong. So Chris, talk us through, for employers, how can they do their best to get it right?
I would certainly recommend that they use a payroll software that actually knows what it's doing. This would be an extra cost to the business, but what you'll save by getting it right in the long run would be worth the investment.
It's worth it. So make sure that software's HMRC compliant software.
Exactly. And then keep clean records. So we're talking about fit notes, payroll history, correspondence between you and the employee, MAP B1 forms, the lot. Stay up to date with HMRC changes. They like to change things quite a lot, so it's important to keep up to date with the latest changes.
And you can sign up to HMRC's free webinars online, which will alert you when changes are happening and what to do to prepare for them. Worthwhile doing if you're running payroll.
Definitely worthwhile. And then finally, if in doubt, call your accountant. Honestly, that's what we're here to do.
Brilliant. Excellent advice, accountant to accountant there. So, whether you're running a payroll in your PJs or managing a full finance team, understanding statutory pay isn't optional, it's essential. And a little bit of knowledge now saves a lot of hassle later. That's it for today's episode of the FFS podcast. Hit subscribe, share this with a business owner who still thinks SMP is a pop group. And as always, if you've got questions or war stories about payroll gone rogue, drop them into us at podcast@chadwickaccountants.co.uk. Until next time, keep your books clean and for finance's sake, check the numbers.